Mary Laan. As a longtime leader of Move to Amend in Southeastern Wisconsin, Mary Laan continues to have a tireless passion about getting money out of politics. Mary has been concerned about access to health care for women and minorities, and she has worked for migrants. She lives out her principles of social justice with compassion for all. Please welcome Mary Laan.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here and being so interested in real change. And I've been very impressed with what the previous speakers have had to say. I've met them before, and I think this is a great start. Thanks to Dwayne for getting us all together. So for those of you who don't know what Move to Amend is, it's a national volunteer organization. Nobody's paid. We have affiliates that work with a national organization that functions as an educational and communicational facility. So we strongly believe that what I hope the Democratic Party will begin to work with, and that is they've got the money, we've got the people, and the people vote. So that's huge power. And we hope that, somebody's telling me that in Singapore, corporations vote. I hope that never happens here. What we want to do all over the country and have been doing is to get, as many of you know, referenda on the ballot, that are resolutions that say we want a constitutional amendment that really is going to change something. So it's not only to get money out of politics, which would be huge. Money is not speech. But that only human beings have constitutional rights, which makes sense because the word corporation isn't in the Constitution, and we know the Constitution was written for people, so we think the Supreme Court is really wrong on that one. So this movement got going in response to the 2010, January 21, 2010, the Supreme Court reiterated some of these things and made them worse. So we do resolutions because we want a movement, and that's what everybody in here is interested in. I think that's what everybody's been talking about, the speakers so far. We really need a movement, and it's starting. And we're it, as Tom Hartman says, tag, you're it. We have to do it. Resolutions educate the public and the media. They also notify our politicians who are not listening, which is the big problem, right? They notify our politicians of what we want. They may be listening, but they're not voting right. And it also builds organization, which is what we're talking about doing here today, right? We all want to build organization. We want a progressive organization that isn't, well, am I supposed to use the word progressive anymore? Anyway, we want something different, and we want to do it, and that's great. That's what we need. I think this whole country needs a movement, and Wisconsin is really the epicenter because this is where money has been focused, big money has been focused, and this is where we really need to work hard to prove that that doesn't work. The people are the sovereign rulers, not the oligarchs. Sounds a little extreme, huh? The next step is probably lobbying, and of course, lobbying the people that we have gotten in office is not going to change things a whole lot. So we need to really push them, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and that's why I'm here. But let me tell you, I was supposed to give you a report on the November election. Move to Amend has now passed 54, and Jim Brownlow is one of them in Waukesha, right there, this guy. We've passed 54 so far, 54 resolutions in communities in Wisconsin with overwhelming majorities. I don't think we have any question that the majority of the populace wants this change. But again, in February, one party voted completely against even hearing about it, and the other party all voted to hear. And of course, the party in majority won, so nobody heard our AJR 50 bill that says just this for the state, that we want a U.S. constitutional amendment. So we're putting it forth again. This last election, I was going to say, 12 communities passed our referendum asking for money out of politics and corporations and other artificial entities and legal entities not being people. Or in other words, constitutional rights are for us, and we're sovereign. So that was really good. And in the April election, there were 13 that passed. So that comes to a total of 54 in just 3 years. And we're continuing to work on that. If anybody is interested, talk to me, and I will get you in touch with the right people, because this is, again, like Nate was saying, Nate Tim was just saying with grassroots, this is an educational thing. We need people to get together, and we don't just need to educate, we need to hear what people want and what people need. But anyway, the 54 referenda actually represent 41% of Wisconsinites live in these communities. I mean, they obviously didn't all vote, we know that. But then again, Wisconsin had the highest voting record in this midterm. So, I mean, isn't that pitiful? But anyway, so for all 54 referenda over the last 3 years, that represents 41% of the Wisconsin populace, and yet our legislature still is not listening to us. So we need to think about our strategy some more, and maybe some different tactics. And I think for me, I also need to join with the Latino community and with the African American community in Milwaukee to get people to understand how it impacts them, how this constitutional amendment, which is a long-term goal. If we're going to have a movement, we need, something to come out of it that's very concrete, that will change our government. So this is the long-term goal. I mean, it's okay, and we don't not support public financing of political campaigns and increased disclosure laws and stronger FEC enforcement and corporate shareholder laws, so that when you have money in a corporation, they don't just take your money and send it to Mitt Romney or something. So we support all those efforts because those are all still legal. But we do have to get money out of politics, we all know that, and we have to diminish the power, we have to increase the power of the voters to what it used to be. Let me put it that way. So that other entities that we invented are not also legally equal to us. So that's what happened. So now we have 16 states. And if anybody wants to know, I'll state them, but there are 16 states that are asking for a constitutional amendment. The Udall Amendment was not it, because it actually did nothing. It actually allowed people to write laws if they wanted to. But you know what? Before 2010, they didn't want to. I mean, it's not happening, so I didn't think that was a good amendment. That was probably the worst of the 7. So I'm going beyond what maybe I was supposed to talk about, and I usually do. Yeah, used to. So the point is that Move to Amend has had a lot of success, and we've worked very closely with a lot of grassroots organizations, and I really think that's where it's at. They are organizing, and they're great, and I thank them very much. And you.